Just happy music. Just happy music. Good morning, everybody. Oh, wait, it's afternoon. It's 1:36 in the afternoon Eastern time. We are here. This is Monica, and I am Michelle with Olive and 2U Studios. We are here today to talk about the Yoon, except this is our second video. So it's Let's Talk About the Yoon 2, because we've made a little more progress on the Yoon, and we know some of you have as well. So we want to talk about some of the things that we have encountered along the way. And today is actually going to be Monica's big day.
Yes, it is.
Because Monica has encountered lots along the way for her Yoon. So we're going to let her talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to come back around. Hey, Dion, happy that you're here, and happy to all those who are watching us live and those who are watching us after we're not live anymore. So we'll go ahead and get started. Monica began her Yoon.
Yes,
and
I
had
did.
made some progress.
Yes, I had.
And then all of a sudden it was like,
Tell
us what happened.
Actually, it was sort of the first live that brought this all about, in the sense that I went, ooh, look at my lovely, I was like, which way in the camera? Perfect. My collar looked very large, and there were several people that pointed this out, and I'd been thinking about it, thinking, I don't know if this is right. I had swatched, I went up a needle size, and my ribbing was just quite large. So as this is my very first garment at all, let alone a sweater, I decided it was time to start over.
Which is gutsy. Can I just say,
I'm
really impressed with that, because I know for me, when I have started projects, if I get into it, and I'm one of those that if I'm rolling along and I don't make mistakes, I'm feeling pretty good about it. But the minute I make a mistake, I'm like, oh man, it's like tainted for me. But I hate starting all over, because it feels like you've invested that time and you can't get it back. But I like your take on it. Tell us what you were thinking.
Well, the biggest thing, I think we all know that any knitting or any crocheting, any needle project whatsoever is definitely an investment in time and money and all those fun things. So if I'm going to be putting in the time, I really want to love it, and I want it to fit just the way I want it to. And I was imagining, I think this collar would be like out to here.
Ginormous.
It would have been really big. And I don't know, my mom even said, or I've heard a lot of folks, we love knitting. So if we get to unknit or frog, ribbit, rip it. It's just more time to knit. I sort of like the idea too. Sometimes if I'm taking things apart, I like to sort of be mindful about it.
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
So you ripped it all out.
Oh, I did.
Is that right?
I did. Yep. But actually, before I did, I went through the next section because I was almost there. I had already done the folded collar.
So you practiced it.
I did practice. And it was, I mean, basically like swatching, but I knew it was, same number of stitches, everything in my yarn. So I went through the German short row section. So that first.
So wait a minute. Yeah. Let me back up and understand this. So you knew you were going to frog this.
Yeah.
But you took the opportunity to go ahead and practice the stitches.
Yeah.
That is absolutely genius.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Very smart. Because now when you go through it, you'll have that experience under your belt, which helps with muscle memory and all those other things. And you won't be finding your way. There'll be a little path through the forest that you'll already have, you've already trod.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it was nice too, because it wasn't as scary either, because I'm like, well, if I screw up, I'm just going to take it out.
Take it out anyway.
Nothing.
I like that a lot.
Can happen. Yeah.
So where are you at now?
So I am almost back to where I was. So, here we go. I have knit my collar. I'm just shy of 1 centimeter before I'm going to knit the collar down again.
So maybe one more row or
one
two?
Or two. Yeah,
okay.
I think so. And I am much happier with how this is looking, because I know, I keep going the wrong way. So I'm just very happy with how that's looking. I know you're saying it's got a nice stretch, and it lays down flat on the sweater. But yeah, this is much.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I love your card of yarn. This is what she frogged on too, which was really smart and probably a little simpler than rolling it back into a ball.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So that was really smart.
Kind of like a big embroidery.
Exactly.
Card. That was what I was thinking.
So super, super smart to do that. And I'm really, really
Oh,
impressed with
thanks.
what you've done so
Yeah,
far.
well, I appreciate that.
So you'll
Yeah.
be off and running in no
I will.
time.
I'm very close. So I'm actually, I've been a little busy, so I'm looking forward to getting some knitting time.
That's awesome.
In the next little bit.
And that is the value of, paying attention and then deciding, yeah, it's worth it to me for the investment in time and money to go ahead and frog it, get it back. And then like I said, you've already trod that path. And so it's not as scary going down those rows. I do not have my knitting to show you today, unfortunately, but I'll make sure that absolutely that I have it next time. I've actually completed all the way through all of the short row sections. And now I am I want to say I'm about 9 rows from separating my sleeves, maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm getting close anyway. But there's some things that have come up as we've been discussing those short row sections. I know that many folks have said, oh my gosh, I'm terrified of the short rows. I'm terrified of it. And I think one of the things that is tripping people up, well, I think there's multiple things that's tripping people up. Number one, it's not that often, I don't think in my experience anyway, in my limited experience, that you encounter both short rows and increases at the same time. So there's a lot going on in those 4 rows.
One little section.
In that section. So you're doing increases and you're doing short rows, and your increases have to be done on the wrong side as well as the right side, which changes the way that you actually create the increase. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So be easy on yourself. It is a little complicated. It's not usually, very often in knitting, you're doing one operation per line. Like you might be doing increases, or you might be doing a short row turn, or you might be doing something or a decrease or something else. But it's very, I think in my experience anyway, it's rare that you're doing multiple operations in the same line at the same time. So be easy on yourself. I'm going to say it again. I'm probably going to say it every single video. Take it slow. This is no race. This is fun. We like to knit. So take your time. Take it slow and read all of your directions. Speaking about directions in the pattern, you'll notice that the designer actually tells you exactly how to complete a make one right on the right side, a make one right on the wrong side, a make one left on the right side, and a make one left on the wrong side. One thing that you will want to do on your knitting is place a marker to indicate which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side. You can probably figure it out each time you look at it, but the truth is, who wants to take the moment to do that, and who needs one more thing to think about when they've already got all these operations to think about? So simply mark right side and wrong side. One of the things that we learned, Carolyn and I were talking about this, and Monica and I were talking about this, if you go to YouTube and look for videos on how to complete a make one right or a make one left on the wrong side or the purl side, there are multiple videos and many of them conflict each other. I'm convinced there are multiple ways to do these operations, and it depends on a couple things. So stick with the directions the designer gives you for making one right on the right side, wrong side, making one left on the right side and wrong side. What I recommend doing is maybe even photocopying the pattern page that has that, cutting it out. And then when you're doing that, keep it over to the side so it doesn't, or either highlight it so your eyes quickly go to it. You don't have to use the brain power to sort through all the verbiage on the page to find it each time. You want to isolate the bits about the operations that you need to complete. So I might even do that for the next video to just show what that might look like. Because the other thing that you're going to want to do that makes your knitting easier is you'll see that 8 stitch, it's actually a rib. They're called the raglan stitches. The 8 stitch repeats that are the design in between your raglan increases. Well, guess what? She tells you how to do it on the right side. It's going to be the opposite on the wrong side. And so what's easiest to do is go ahead and write out what that looks like on the wrong side. Again, print it out, keep it with you. And so when you're working on the wrong side, you can reference what you need to do there. I was looking at the directions on how to do these stitches all the way through, which is why I took it really, really slowly. Okay. So that's super important. If you follow the directions that the designer gives you, you won't go wrong. And then you had a bit of a thing with those
Mhm.
directions too.
Yeah.
You want to tell your misinterpretation and how you came back
Yes.
around?
Well, I basically did exactly what Michelle said, was I went outside of the pattern to look for information on how you make one left and right on the wrong side. And it was basically opposite of what was written in the pattern instructions. So I went through all of that and then went, I don't know if
That ain't
that's yeah. Which makes me think too. I almost wanted to say this earlier. It's so nice doing this with other folks, like doing this as a make along,
Yes.
because to have this community, to even have several people that are more experienced than myself say, hey, I'm noticing that you might want to look at that.
Yep.
Or just that we can talk about these things. But
That's the benefit of community for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so when I get to that section again, I will do exactly what the pattern maker has done.
And that's one of the funny things, and
Mm.
I repeat myself a lot, but in our first video, we talked about reading the pattern all the way through. I read this
Mhm.
pattern all the way through, and I did not catch, like it didn't register in my brain that the directions were there. Because I was like, oh yeah, make one left and right. I know how to do those. I can do those all day long. Not on the wrong side.
Yeah.
So it didn't register to me that she actually gave us the directions, but the directions are there for everything that you need to know. So that's really important to think about. Another thing I want to mention is what you just talked about. The benefit of community is wonderful. And we've heard murmurings from people who've said, oh, I didn't start the Yoon. I really wish now I had done it, because there's more people doing it and we're talking about it a lot. Kits are still available on the website. And I think that was accidental, but they're still there. So you can absolutely still order your Yoon kit. And look, we're not all that far along. So you can absolutely catch up.
I think you could definitely catch up to me.
Yes.
So I'll be there with you.
Absolutely. So they are still available. And I've already heard at least one person say they're already intending to make a second Yoon. And we really got excited about that, because this is one of those sweaters that you can easily modify. So the second Yoon can even look different than the first. But we're going to get you going through it. And you were saying, I think earlier, that one of the neat things about working your way through a pattern like this is, once you get through it, it's so much easier to do it the next time. Like if the light bulb goes on and you know how to do it. And Carolyn and I were talking off camera recently about the fact that it's a skill builder.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm so thrilled to be learning all these things, because I mean, as a first garment, I just know this is going to inform not only if I want to do this pattern again.
Right.
Obviously, this would, I feel like it would be a piece of cake doing it again. I don't know, but
we'll see how you feel.
Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
But yeah, it's definitely a skill builder. And so that opens up even more patterns that are opportunities for you, because sometimes I think we limit ourselves when we look at patterns by, oh, I've never encountered that stitch. That's scary. Yeah. When in fact, if you get through this with community, then the next thing, it makes things more available to you. It opens up more doors, which are really, really good. So we want to hear from you. Do talk to us in the Yarn to Use. Let us know how you're feeling about the Yoon. If you're local, there are some people who are local who are struggling a little bit. And I've said, reach out to me. We'll set up a time. You can come in and we'll do a little hand holding and help you get through some of that. It's actually fun. I actually texted Carolyn at one point when I was working on it and said, this is actually really fun. Yeah. Like, it was not drudgery to do the short rows and the increases. And I think part of that was when I got through that section, I felt much more confident as a knitter. I was like, all right, I can stand up straight. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. And so I know that you are going to get that same feeling. So persevere, but if you're local and need some help, absolutely let us know and we will help you walk through that. Did you have any other interesting thoughts you wanted to talk about?
I don't know. You were talking about doing short rows, and I'm like, I was immediately thinking about all the patterns that have had short rows that I haven't done. And now I go, oh, I can do that now.
Yeah, so, German short rows are so simple to do. I used to be one of those knitters who was terrified anytime I heard short rows. Terrified, because all I could think of were holes in my knitting. There were definitely going to be holes because I wasn't good at picking up wraps. But German short rows make it super, super easy.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know enough to know that this is easier, and that is excellent.
Yes, you don't have to go to wrapping and turns ever in your life once you learn how to do a German short row. So we'll persevere on. Next week we'll be back. I promise to have my knitting next week. We'll definitely post progress pictures in the Yarn to Use. We want to see your progress pictures in the Yarn to Use. Let us know what your struggles are. Let us know what your successes are. And just know that we're going to get through it together. And it really isn't difficult. It's actually a super fun pattern, but it is a little scary. But like you said,
the scare. This is something that I'd heard somewhere along the lines of like fear is always going to be with you. It's just whether or not it gets. So let's say it's in the car, whether or not it gets to like tell you where to go or like change the radio station.
I like
It's got to
that.
come along, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to tell you what
Keep
you
it in
can
the
or
back
can't do.
seat.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like putting it in the back
Makes
seat.
good sense. Makes absolutely perfect sense. I hope to have mine ready for Scotland. That's my goal.
Oh, excellent.
To have mine ready for the Scotland trip. We'll see what happens. But that is my goal. And it's actually a lot of fun. It makes a beautiful fabric. And your mom's is gorgeous.
Oh, I know.
Within the groove and berry.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you're talking about doing it again, that's the other thing too, is I did not go adventurous with my colors at
Which
all.
was smart, I think.
Yeah, that and I just really like Cavendish.
Yes.
I was like, I just want more of it. I get to play with the colors is gets
Exactly.
me excited as well.
Plus, you'll have the benefit of seeing how other people's colors have interplayed together, which
Yeah.
is really beneficial. Well, thanks so much for being here today as we chat about the Yun. We'll definitely be back next week with even more progress and things that we've noticed. We'll show you more progress on our projects. And we hope that this is helping a little bit. If you're local and need a little help, just reach out. Let me know, Michelle@olive2u.com. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the Yarn to Use.
Bye.